Thank you for joining this webinar on Friend of the Earth certifications, an update organized by the World Sustainability Organization. I will actually also introduce the other certifications for sustainable agriculture and similar. And so I will dedicate quite a part of the presentation to this. And then I will update on Friend of the Earth. I am Paolo Bray. I'm founder and director of the World Sustainability Organization and the World Sustainability Foundation and the programs Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth. Well, let me provide you with a few slides on where we come from, what we propose, what we do. So our story dates back in the early 90s with my involvement in the Dolphin Safe Tuna program of the Earth Island Institute. I soon realized that certifications could be a very important tool to achieve tangible conservation results. So in 2008, I launched Friend of the Sea, initially focused on certification of seafood from sustainable fisheries and aquaculture. And 10 years later, we launched Friend of the Earth, initially certifying products from sustainable agriculture and farming, now into sustainable textile and fashion, sustainable insect farming, mining, and many others, as I will show. In 2022, we created the World Sustainability Foundation, which supports conservation projects worldwide. And in 2023, we opened our first Sustainable Friends concept store in Milan. Currently, over 5,000 products from more than 1,500 companies in 90 countries carry the Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth certification logos. These are products, sometimes services. Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth represent also conservation projects managed by our World Sustainability Foundation in over 40 countries. And these, you can see, are the Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth conservation programs on a global map. Some of the projects are developed, managed by WSO and the Foundation, while others have been selected and certified based on their tangible conservation achievements. But let's dive now in today's webinar. The question now is, why do we need the certifications? Well, the need for certification of products and services is a consequence of the growth in trade and branding of products, which had a strong boost just after World War II, with growth of the global economy and trade. Since the late 80s, environmental, food safety, and social accountability issues made accessible to consumers worldwide by means of the mass media and then the internet further increased the need for verification and labeling of food according to their safety and environmental and social impacts. The food certification market is quantified in 4.7 US billions and expected to have an annual growth rate of over 5% to 6.2 billion US dollars by 2025. This value includes other certifications related to services such as consultancy and testing. Of course, this growth is not occurring in the same way globally. And some continents, such as North America and Europe, the bigger circles here, are in a more mature stage, while Middle East, Africa, Latin America are still in the growth phase. The rush for more information about products and new standards has been such that it is now almost impossible to estimate the number of eco-labels out there, as it is growing every day. But a good estimate would be around 1,000 or more. Approximately 50% of them are food eco-labels. Some of the most comprehensive databases are the Eco-Label Index, with 456 eco-labels, and the ITC Standards Map, with 325 eco-labels. Approximately 50% of them are food eco-labels. Some of the most comprehensive databases I've just mentioned. So of the approximately 500 food eco-labels out there, I here represent 150, including the major ones, also in terms of number of companies using them and number of products displaying them. I've separated them into groups, as you can see, which describe best their scope: organic, sustainable or responsible agriculture, product or food specific, protecting single animal groups, focused on seafood production, food safety standards, forestry, corporate social responsibility, social accountability, grass-fed, biodynamics, regenerative, non-GMO, packaging, vegan, restaurant-specific, water and CO2 footprint. But last but not least, on the right, you can see we have a group related to companies' labels, standards and eco-labels developed and managed by the companies themselves, thus not applicable to other companies. Of course, with the new legislation to prevent greenwashing, some of these will disappear because they are not backed up by a third-party certification and audit. While it would seem an overwhelming job to evaluate all these labels for their relevance in the mission for more sustainable food production, it is also clear that some of these eco-labels or groups cannot, while valuable for their specific purpose, and even though referring to food production, be considered sustainability certification labels. Considering the agriculture focus of today's webinar, if we wish to focus on those independent and more comprehensive sustainability eco-labels, more related to agriculture and its impact, we can exclude from these eco-labels the company's self-claims, the food safety certifications, generic CSR or management system certifications, those specific only to water, energy, emissions, social accountability, packaging, GMO, lifestyles, health, animal welfare, aquaculture, and fisheries. The list is therefore shorter, as you can see. So let's look now more in depth on what we are left with to understand the main features of the major certification groups. Biodynamic. Biodynamic agriculture is a form of alternative agriculture based on pseudo-scientific and esoteric concepts initially developed in 1924 by Rudolf Steiner. It was the first of the organic farming movements. It treats soil fertility, plant growth, and livestock care as ecologically interrelated tasks, emphasizing spiritual and mystical perspectives. Biodynamics has much in common with other organic approaches. It emphasizes the use of manures and compost and excludes the use of synthetic fertilizers, pesticides, and herbicides on soil and plant. Methods unique to the biodynamic approach include its treatment of animals, crops, and soil as a single system. No difference in beneficial outcomes has been scientifically established between certified biodynamic agriculture techniques and similar organic and interrelated farming practices. As of 2020, biodynamic techniques were used on 251,000 hectares in 55 countries, led by Germany, Australia, and France. Germany accounts for 42% of the global total. There are certification agencies for biodynamic products, most of which are members of the International Biodynamics Standard Group, Demeter International. The Demeter Biodynamic Standard includes also social accountability requirements. In general, while one can put in doubt some of the requirements, the standard of biodynamics could be considered a sustainability certification for the above reasons, the mentioned reasons. Regenerative agriculture, here we are, basically adds requirements to organic agriculture principles. Organic certification evidence is normally requested to support soil rehabilitation, gradual increase in biodiversity, improvement of the water cycle, enhancement of ecosystem services, further improve animal welfare. Standards include also strong requirements on social and economic accountability. Two major certifications in the USA can be found: Regenerative Organic Certified, ROC, and AGW. Audits are carried out on site, organized by the certification owners. While some of the principles and claims of regenerative agriculture, such as the one on its valid carbon sequestration, have been put in doubt by some scientific assessments, this eco-label can represent a sustainability certification, as it seems to incorporate the needed features of a sustainability certification. So let's now evaluate whether or not organic standards can be defined as sustainability certifications. Well, the organic certification arena is quite a diversified one, as each country or group of countries, as in the case for the EU, regulates at different levels what the organic requirements should look like, providing, for example, regulations or guidelines. Other privately started organizations like IFOAM have developed their own requirements. A study some years ago calculated over 500 organic labels, so harmonization surely will help and is helping in this field. The organic certification market is huge when compared to other sustainability-related certifications, as you can see from the graph below to the right. This is mainly due to the much bigger range of crops certified. The organic harvested area was almost 4 times the total area certified by all other agriculture certifications, and 20 times more than the major ones, such as Rainforest Alliance. While the EU, USA, and Japan regulation do not include social accountability requirements, the Australian, Swiss, and IFOAM standards do include, to a certain extent, also social accountability issues. As far as the certification activity, it is carried out on all cases by an independent body. So this said, one can conclude that also organic is somehow can be included, let's say, in the group of sustainable and responsible certifications for agricultural products. So before moving on and analyzing the core sustainability certifications, it is interesting to understand the relevance and spread of organic in the overall global picture. According to the ITC standard map data, organic is leading among the sustainability certifications related to agricultural production. However, it still only represents 1.5% of agricultural land worldwide. The other certifications represent each a global share of not more than 1%. So that's quite impressive. Australia is the country with the largest certified area. Italy and Spain are the countries with the highest percentage of organic certified area. Organic is almost not present in the African continent. The organic farming market is expected to grow 11% in each of the next 4 years. This would mean that by the end of the century, it could still be below the 5% of the total harvested area. So while the growth is significant and in line with the expected growth of other certifications, it must be stressed that it still represents a very small percentage of the overall agricultural area in the world. I'm providing here with some relevant data from the ITC standard map, confirming the trend and showing its spread on the world map. It is also interesting to observe the compared relevance of forestry standards in terms of area certified. It is more than 6 times the area certified by organic. PAFC is currently market leader. Organic itself is 70% of the total area certified in agriculture. And part of the certified forestry area is also dedicated to food production. The two major forestry standards are the PAFC, recently become the major one, and the Forest Stewardship Council. The certifications occurred mostly in North America and Europe and much less in Africa, as you can see. While in Canada, over 40%, 11% in the USA, of the forest area has been certified, the value is much smaller elsewhere. Both certifications allow application from food producers. In fact, producers of honey, mushrooms, truffles, fruit, berries, nuts, syrup, game, and other edible products have been certified. They both include strong requirements on social and economic accountability and rely on independent certification bodies to carry out the audit. They therefore qualify as sustainability certifications for this aspect in agriculture too. Crop-specific standards should by definition be type 1, like same as type 1, but for a single attribute or single sector according to ISO. According to the ITC, the UTZ program, cocoa, tea, hazelnut, and coffee, was the main of the crop-specific standards, with over 1 million producers. However, the label has been recently bought by the Rainforest Alliance, and it is gradually being phased out. The RSPO palm oil certification has therefore now become the major type 1 like food certification, having certified an estimated 10% of the global area dedicated to oil palm. The 4C certification is the major one in terms of producers certified. When looking at the type 1 certifications, assessing multi-attributes and open to multi-sectors in agriculture, we see that the Rainforest Alliance and Global Gap are by far the major players. But there are two major differences between the two. Global Gap is mainly a B2B certification. You will not find the logo that often on consumer-facing products, while Rainforest is B2C. Another important difference to highlight is that Rainforest is focused on tropical crops for the nature of its claim, while Global Gap has certified a much bigger range of agro products. From the online database, they have a choice of approximately 1,000 products, basically the whole range of vegetable and meat products. When we look at the certified share of global area certified, we notice that on average, something around 9.3% of the total area is certified for given crops, with cocoa on top, followed by coffee and tea. But let's look closer to those major players left in our assessment, of which eco-labels can actually be deemed as sustainability certification, according to the official definition, which implies certification to be carried out by a certification body independent from the audited companies, and social and economic accountability to be included in the standard. A useful tool to further shorten the list is to refer to the actual definition of certification according to ISO, and also more recently by the new EU legislation to prevent greenwashing. A certification is the provision by an independent body of written assurance, a certificate, that the product, service, or system in question meets specific requirements. It is important, therefore, that the certification be provided by an independent body. While, as we will see later, a reliable certification should be provided by an independent certification body, itself verified in its standard-related work by a national accreditation body, for the time being, we will refer to this more generic definition of independent certification body, even though ISO itself, just after the definition of certification, provides the definition of accreditation, thus implying that the importance of the latter when assessing the independence of the certification body and its audit work. The purpose of our analysis is now to understand the level of reliability of the sustainability certifications we have identified. The tool to assess reliability and continuous verification of the standard's performance and the work carried out by the certification standards and standard owners is the national accreditation, a process by means of which a certification standard is assessed by the national accreditation bodies. You can see some examples here. To be fit for accreditation of certification bodies against its standard. The whole process is then harmonized and coordinated by IAF, the International Accreditation Forum, and EA, the European Cooperation for Accreditation. To date, very few standards have the honor to be recognized by the national accreditation bodies, only 9 by IAF, among them ISO, Organic, BRC, IFS, Global Gap, LEAF in some countries, Friend of the Sea, and recently Friend of the Earth, still undergoing technical assessment. Other standards did not even try and they built a parallel organization to carry out this task, such as ISEAL and ASI, which seem to be in contrast with the EU regulation requesting only one national accreditation body per country. If we thus want to find out which of our sustainability certifications have a higher degree of scrutiny and reliability, being constantly verified by the national accreditation bodies, and are international in scope, then we are left with this very short list, comprising of the organic standards, the PEFC forestry standard, which can potentially certify also agricultural products, Global Gap, and Friend of the Earth. Now that we have positioned Friend of the Earth according to its level of reliability, scrutiny, and comprehensiveness of its standards requirements, allow me to provide you with some additional information about sustainability certification. Friend of the Earth has initially been launched in 2018 as a certification standard focused on products from sustainable agriculture and farming. The requirements cover all potential environmental and social impacts of agricultural production to meet the expectations of consumers requesting for a comprehensive sustainability certification. The Friend of the Earth standards for products from sustainable agriculture and farming have been developed respecting the FAO SAFA Sustainability Assessment of Food and Agriculture System guidelines. The requirements in terms of agriculture management system are very similar to those of integrated pest management, proved by several recent studies to be the best performing in terms of reducing the agricultural impact on the environment per unit of production, maintaining optimal use of resources such as land, energy, water, and reducing emissions and waste management to a sustainable level. In addition to the requirements for the agriculture system, requirements span from the impact of the agricultural site on the previously existing natural habitat, census and protection of any endangered species of flora and fauna, which might occur on the site, waste, water, and energy management in terms of continuous improvement of fuel efficiency, regenerative agricultural practices, animal welfare in case of farming, and of course, traceability and chain of custody, as well as social accountability. In case the product is already certified according to other certification standards such as organic, Global Gap, Rainforest Alliance, or other, then the auditor will consider a certain level of equivalence to avoid double auditing what has already been checked by the other standards. This makes the audit swifter and less expensive. The Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth standards have been endorsed by the national accreditation bodies. They verify the audit work carried out by independent certification bodies and make Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth real third-party certifications. The standards are periodically reviewed by an independent technical committee composed of a balanced representation of stakeholders. Full transparency and an open objection process make Friend of the Sea compliant with all international regulations for certification, providing consumers with the verified and verifiable information. Some of the certification bodies also carry out audit with the remote system that we have provided called the SARA, Sustainable Augmented Reality Audit, which basically consists of a shared online checklist integrated with the company facilities map and online video audit, which is then saved on blockchain. This system is much faster and provides much more undisputable evidence when compared to conventional audits. We have recently developed and experimenting avatars to carry out the audits. These have great knowledge based on the web, cannot be bribed, and be activated anytime, allowing also to lower audit costs, making the certification more accessible. Here are only some of the brands which have obtained the Friend of the Earth Sustainable Agriculture certification. Among them, some market leaders in their sectors, such as La Doria, a major worldwide producer of tomato, and Philip Morris, whose tobacco leaf curing system is verified according to the Friend of the Earth sustainable standards requirements. As you can see, we can audit and certify a wide range of products from different crops and different productions. Here are some of the certified products with the logo, displaying the logo. And as you can see, there's cocoa from Southeast Asia, coffee from Costa Rica, various wines, vegetables, tomato, fruit, tomato from hydroponics, eggs. And as far as hydroponics, this is normally not certified by organic, at least in the EU. Instead, we decided to open to hydroponics because it's an important new technology which has potential to greatly reduce environmental impact. Rice, also from Asia, quinoa from Ecuador, well-known Parmesan cheese, other dairy products from market leader in Sri Lanka, and others, meat products, fruit, dried fruit, olive oil, honey, nutraceutical products. This is the main producer worldwide of ashwagandha and other omega-3 or oils. This is from a major producer of canola oil in North America. And as we developed also standards for insect farming, there's also products from insect farming. Friend of the Earth certified companies can also leverage on other certification logos and claims when applicable, such as the animal welfare, social responsibility, sustainable irrigation, and many more. These logos basically confirm the company or product's compliance with sections of the Friend of the Earth requirements. The scope of the Friend of the Earth certification has been expanded over the years to award with the Friend of the Earth logo other products and services which respect the environment. This makes Friend of the Earth one of the few certifications which can be potentially applied to any type of product or service in different sectors. A generic Friend of the Earth standard has also been designed for those new products which lead their sector in reducing the impact on the environment. Friend of the Earth certified fashion and textiles originates from Friend of the Earth certified agricultural, farming, or recycled products or regenerated synthetic fibers that are produced respecting the environment and workers. Several fashion brands and textile producers from 4 continents have had their product assessed and certified Friend of the Earth. They leverage with a number of additional services which include participation to a fashion show during the Milan Fashion Week. Other standards have been developed for sustainable furniture, hospitality. Unsustainable mining can harm habitats, pollute water and air, and displace communities without social accountability. So sustainable mining certified by Friend of the Earth minimizes environmental impact and ensures sites are safe for future use. Certified mines are inspected annually, supporting conservation, pollution reduction, and worker respect across the supply chain. Events like music festivals, sports, competition, and conferences have a major impact on the environment and society, using resources and generating waste. Friend of the Earth Sustainable Event Standards guides organizers and informs consumers on reducing environmental impact, empowering responsible and sustainable choices. The Friend of the Earth Sustainable Sport Certification highlights operators meeting environmental standards, uniting stakeholders from federations to sponsors to drive sustainable innovation across the industry and showcase improved sports practices. Remote working could cut carbon dioxide emissions greatly by 214 million tons annually by 2030, equivalent to planting 5.5 billion trees by reducing commutes and single-use packaging waste from takeout food. So Friend of the Earth's Smart Working certification recognizes companies contributing to a greener future and supports conservation projects through certification royalties. The price list for Friend of the Earth certification is available on the website, and it varies, as you can see, depending on the company's revenue and number of products and services to be certified. We have also some price list specific for each single standard. This is the one applicable to agriculture in general. And of course, the companies that obtain the certification of their products as Friend of the Earth have a number of benefits. Of course, the main benefits is our focus, the third-party certification. But companies can, as already explained, connect their product to the project that we are supporting worldwide, conservation projects. They can gain visibility through our joint marketing and communications activities. And we also promote networking and engage at generating one-to-one meetings. In conclusion, WSO is the only platform, the World Sustainability Organization, proposing to consumer-friendly logos, not acronyms, which can potentially certify sustainability for the whole food range, seafood and agro, as well as non-food products and services. WSO delivers the certifications based on a solid 30 years experience in the field, in full independence from the industry that we certify, and by means of third-party audits as explained. So if you have any specific questions, you can contact me at my email, Paolo Bray at friendoftheearth.org. And I will just now jump into question and answers and our usual polls. So let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, I have some polls here. Let's start with the first one. What agriculture environmental certification would you trust more when buying products? So if there's a certification that you mostly remember, like organic or Friend of the Earth or others, which one you feel you would trust more when purchasing products? And second poll is about which environmental or social impact you perceive as being more relevant in agriculture at the global level. So do you feel that the most urgent environmental issue and impact to tackle is land use, for example, or is it water footprint, or water and soil pollution, or CO2 emissions, as many claim that this is the main one, or is it illegal employment in agricultural sites? Feel free to answer. And do you prefer crop-specific or agriculture generic sustainability certification? Crop-specific would be a certification like sustainable wine certification or sustainable cotton. Agriculture generic would be a certification like Friend of the Earth or Global Gap or Organic, for example, which are generic for different crops, basically. And then finally, as usual, there's a space for you to provide suggestions on how to improve the webinar and any new topics you would like us to approach in the future. Feel free to write them down on this, let's say, poll, and if you have any in mind. And then finally, sincerely rate the webinar, and this is anonymous. We will not share with anybody. So this said, I see there are no questions. Probably my presentation was quite extensive, and I apologize. It took some time, but it's actually only 4:37. Anyway, you have my contacts, and our contacts. There's plenty of contacts on the website. So if you have any feedback or any question, feel free to contact us. I understand today is Friday. It's the end of the day, at least over here around Europe. So some of you might also be a bit tired. But anyway, we will share the whole video recording. We will share the PowerPoint to all those who participated, and also a certificate of participation. This said, in terms of the polls, we have some opinions here. So some of you would trust Friend of the Earth. Thank you. And somebody wrote NAB, maybe something that I don't recognize, but I'm sure it's an important one. I will double check. And then somebody else would generally trust organic certification, such as USDA organic or EU organic. Okay, great. Thank you for your feedback. Then in terms of which environmental or social impact you perceive as being more relevant in agriculture, it would seem that a good 50% consider the impact of agriculture on water and soil to be the most relevant. But there's a 25% which would go for land use, and that's also correct. I mean, there's no right or wrong here, but definitely land use with the loss of biodiversity, etc., is quite an important one. And then there's some for illegal employment. Land use is gaining both. Wonderful. Thank you so much for all this interactivity at this time of the Friday. So, and then it would seem that 75% this time are in favor of more generic agriculture certification instead of having several different logos for crop specific. Okay, I'm sharing also this one. And the last one I will share is the suggestions you provided. So you would like to hear more about water footprint. We did a webinar on sustainable irrigation. So you can check that out also in our webinar area. But sometimes we also repeat webinars. So feel free to go through that. Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. No questions today. But that's understandable. So I really appreciate staying with me on this topic today, and we stay in touch. We're taking a break over August as far as webinars are concerned, but there are plenty of webinars you can go through on our website from past editions. This year in particular, we did almost one webinar every week. So we will get ourselves organized to start in full gear in September with new webinars, perhaps also surely based also on your inputs. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
Help our planet with this first step. Follow Friend of the Sea and Friend of the Earth across our social media. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your follow and subscription helps us spread the sustainability message to everyone. Let's build a better world together as sustainable friends.